Hello, YouTube. I am finally sitting down to do my race recap video. Before I get into it, I want to say thank you for your patience. I just want to say thank you to all my new subscribers, everybody who comments on my videos. You guys are all so nice, and I have no idea what I've done to deserve kind people and just very supportive people all around me. But thank you so much. Genuinely, seriously, thank you. I do want to say I did just get this microphone set up. I'm very stoked on it. It's Sunday, May 19th, and my race was last Saturday, May 11th. And I ran the Quad Rock 25 mile here in Fort Collins, Colorado. So the Quad Rock 25-mile race, as well as the Quad Rock 50-mile race, takes place in both Lori State Park and Horsetooth State Park. The 25-mile race is just that, 25 miles, with about 5,500 feet of elevation gain, roughly. In that 25-mile course, essentially, you loop from Lori State Park south into Horsetooth State Park and back north towards Lori State Park, finishing at the Soldier Canyon Facility Pavilion, I think. The 50-mile course, you start with the exact same loop as the 25-mile course, and once you reach the finish line for the 25-mile, you turn around and do the course in reverse. So that would be about 11,000 feet of elevation gain total for the 50-mile. I decided to really fine tune and dedicate a lot of time, attention, and organization to my training for Quad Rock. I think one of the most successful components of my training was being intentional. If the goal was to go out and do a long run and focus on nutrition, that's what I focused on. If the intention was to do an easy run, that's what I did. I looked at my heart rate, I made sure I was at talking pace, and I kept it easy. I would say that was probably one of the biggest reasons for my success. Right up to that mid-April mark, I was averaging probably 55 to 62 miles a week. So I would say 57 miles a week. And I think that was perfectly adequate for that distance. And I felt good. I genuinely felt so good during that training block. And like I said, I think being intentional with those easy runs made recovering for workouts or my long run so successful. So that was really cool. And I'm really proud of myself for kind of figuring out what works for me, what works for my body, what worked for my level of fitness and training at that point in time. Mid-April is when we left for Ecuador. When we got back from Ecuador, I had about 10 days before my race, so I just tried to pack as much as I could into that week and a half. But I'm going to be honest, getting back from Ecuador and leading up to this race, life got crazy. You're gone for 10 days from work. A lot of things pile up. The following week that I was back, so I'd worked about 2 days, and then my coworker went on a vacation for that full week. So I was trying to play catch up, but I was also covering for someone. So life was just very crazy. My mom came out, and I love, it was so amazing to have my mom here. Ecuador was so amazing. There was just a lot of things where I was like, I think in a way that benefited me because I didn't really have time to get nervous for the race. I think it's very realistic to set multiple goals for a race, which is exactly what I did. And it helps to alleviate some of the pressure where it's just go out there, feel what you're feeling, do what you got to do. I knew I could run the race in 5 hours. I knew it was possible. I knew if I was having a really good day, I could probably do it in 4 hours, 45 minutes, but I would have to be hitting some marks to do anything faster than that. I will say for this race, since I had trained so much on the course, I really felt that I knew kind of how I wanted to execute. In the Quad Rock 25-mile race, there's 3 considerable climbs. The first climb is probably my favorite because it's fairly runnable. However, the second climb is an absolute soul crusher just because it's a lot of high stepping, a lot of rocks. And if you go out on that first climb too fast and don't save any gas for that second climb, it could be very unforgiving. And then the third climb, by that point, you're already, I want to say you're at about 4,000 feet of climbing, though it is fairly runnable. You're going to be fatigued and tired. Keeping all of that in mind, I knew on the first climb, do not go too fast. That was my strategy, was just reserve. Just keep that in mind. Just reserve for those last two climbs. Knowing that my mom was coming in and Friday was going to be kind of a crazy day, I had actually pre-packed everything Thursday night. I pre-packed my bottles with the nutrition. I even put my nutrition into packets. I pretty much got everything ready to go other than filling my little gel pouch with gels. Friday night, I did packet pickup. I went home. I did a shakeout run with mom, which I did a whole taper week video. If you care to watch it, I'll link it on the screen. But it was great to do a shakeout run with mom. We had some pizza and we just tried to get to bed as early as possible. Saturday morning, I woke up, had some coffee, drank some water, had a quick little bite to eat. I filled my gel pouch with my gels. I filled my water bottles with water. My liquid nutrition was ready to go. We made our way to the state park and then, yeah, basically we got going Saturday morning, start line. And when that gun went off, just like any start line, just went out so hot. You're starting down the main road of this state park, which is just packed dirt. It's not pavement, it's not gravel, it's just packed dirt. It's about 2 miles until it turns into single track. And during those 2 miles, my heart rate was at like 170, which I think was just start line nerves. And I mean, I felt good. I felt like I could talk just fine, but I was running like sub 9-minute pace and I was like, is this too fast? Did I start too fast? I'm really scared. I just tried to keep myself reeled in. A lot of people were starting really fast and I was like, dude, just let it be. Let them run what they need to. You know what you're doing. Stick to your plan. I just tried to enjoy like how nice it was being out there at 7 a.m. and the sun. And it was just a really beautiful morning. Kind of during that first climb I had mentioned, I felt good, but I kept my movement steady at a good steady pace, but I'd like at certain sections where you could run or kind of power hike, I was like, just power hike, just save, reserve. I was really trying to be conscious of my fueling as well, like making sure I was getting my liquids in. When we got to the first aid station, I was feeling good. Very quickly, I realized that I've actually gotten very skilled at my technical descents. I can tell that I've picked up speed because I found myself catching a lot of people. Approaching the second aid station, I was expecting to roll through there around 2 hours, maybe 2 hours, 15 minutes, but I rolled through there at about 1 hour, 47 minutes. And at this point, I have no idea what position I'm in. I'd finished my first bottle of nutrition, and what I had done was put a bottle loaded with my powder right in kind of the back part of my pack. So I just grabbed out the empty bottle, had him fill it with water. I had taken some of my gels at this point, and I knew that this was kind of the start of that second heinous climb. Kind of going out the gate, I was like, all right, run what you can, power hike the rest. Just remember to reserve. I feel I did a great job with that. Made it to the third aid station, and I just had some ginger ale. I don't think I grabbed anything to eat. I felt good, so I just kind of kept it rolling. That was basically a descent to the final aid station. And at this point in the race is kind of when the 25-mile people were starting to catch up with the 50-mile people. So kind of leading into that last aid station, it was great. My mom was there, Chandler's parents were there, and they were cheering us on. It was awesome. And I just kind of rolled through despite having powder, like pre-made mix in my bag. I had it in like little baggies. I used the aid station electrolyte mix and I just didn't really like it. I'm not gonna lie. I had probably like a third of my bottle filled with my mix. I just asked them to put their mix in just to save time, which I think was ultimately a good move, but it just did not taste very good. So I was like, well, whatever. And I had water in my other, so it was kind of like I would like take a sip of that, get some water, and whatever. I just needed the nutrition. So leaving that aid station, I looked at my distance and I looked at the time, and that's when I realized that I could finish this race sub 4 hour 45 minute. I started to do the math in my head and I was like, all right, even if things go completely to I can do this. Like even if my pace slows down a full minute, I can still finish in a sub 4 hour 45 minutes. So let's go. But that final climb, I know I made some moves and I caught up to some people, caught up with a lot of 50-mile racers during that last section. I knew there was about 3 miles left, and this was a section I've run so much. I knew it was all downhill. I knew it was technical. I knew I could run it fast, but I knew I needed to fuel. I was so nauseous from that aid station electrolyte mix. When it came time, I wanted to have a Speed Nut Spring Energy gel. I swear, my performance is always enhanced every time I have one of those with the caffeine, with the calories. It's probably my favorite one. So I only use it for very special occasions if I know I need that little like, I forced it down. There was one last stand where there was two paramedics with water, and then it was downhill from there, quite literally. I guess that sounds not good, but it was all downhill from there, which is it was good in this sense of things. That downhill, I felt so strong. It was the last 2 miles. I was like, alrighty, here we go. Let's finish this. Let's finish this strong. Let's do this. I powered down that descent. I think my last mile was 7 minute 56 seconds, which is great. I ended up finishing in 4 hours, 39 minutes and 36 seconds. I took ninth place female, and then I was 39th overall out of 267 participants. So epic. It was one of those where I think I was just completely shocked at how it transpired. I had known that it was possible, but I didn't realize like I could really do that. And I felt like with this training block and the full commitment on my end, every week that I would do hill workouts, every long run, I could see these just quantifiable improvements in my pace, perceived effort, how my legs felt, how my recovery felt, and how my body was adapting just so beautifully. I just think, for everybody, whether you've done a 5K, 10K, half marathon, marathon, I just love races, and I always tear up during my races. I make sure I don't cry because you can't waste energy. I always tear up because it's like you've put in the time and the effort, and to just like witness all that time and all those efforts and all those miles just come to play in one singular effort is just so cool and a reason to keep running. So I just feel so incredibly fortunate that this went the way it did. All in all, I had an absolutely amazing day. I feel so grateful that I was able to share that day and experience with my mom as well as Chandler's parents. It was beautiful weather. I met beautiful, amazing people, and I'm just so impressed with everybody's performance. Basically, that is it. That's the Quad Rock 25. This has just left me feeling super excited for my next adventure, which is going to be my very first 100-kilometer race, which is going to be the Never Summer 100-kilometer race in Gould, Colorado in July. I believe it's like 64.8 miles with 14,000 feet of climbing. So it's going to be awesome. It's going to be epic. And I'm so excited to train for such a race, to get out in the mountains, get out in the Alpine, explore, and just try to enjoy as much of this whole experience in the process. Thank you guys for all your support. I've wanted to start a YouTube channel for a few years now, to be honest with you. I do a lot in the summer, and I feel like I've always just wanted to kind of share some of the things I do. I think at this point in my life, I'm just kind of ready to commit to sharing and more trail running, ultra running, and yeah, I feel like I've found in alignment with the content I'm making, what I want out of my life, and what I'm doing. And so it's just really exciting to have that direction with my channel. I'm really excited to share everything kind of coming up with you as much as I can. Obviously, this is not a full-time job. This is more of like a passion project, fun thing to do. I'm just your regular average American that likes to pack as much fun and mountains into her weekends as she can. That is what I plan to share. If that interests you, consider subscribing, consider liking, drop a comment down below, but no obligation. I just really wanted to say thank you to everybody. With that being said, if you made it to this point in the video, I am sure this ended up being longer than I had anticipated it to be. So thank you so much for watching. Hopefully the mic setup was kind of fun. Thank you so much for watching and dedicating some time to spend with me. You are awesome. I hope you get out, and I hope you go for a run today and find some time on trail. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in my next adventure. Bye.